So I've got just a penny that's just jammed between those gears. Again, this actually should be really fast because I'm going to just give it a quick torque and it should break it loose. So this is a 19 millimeter. This is a 22 millimeter. So I got 19 already loaded up from the previous action. Okay. And it looks like it broke it loose. Oh, because like hold it so that I need to hold it in place, jammed. There it goes. So it actually did crack it off. Okay, so that one I'm going to leave loose. This one, I'm actually going to just do a straight up swap. I'm putting the 22 on right now. And again, I had to bend that washer back so that I could actually get this off. But let's see if I do a quick zip. Yeah, look at that. Guys, the impact wrench is just invaluable for this process. It really is. It's just invaluable. I didn't even need to give it that much onion to actually get off. So bent in and around there, but there, now it'll go. So nut, washer, inner basket. Okay, then there's another washer, just keep in mind. Down, and pull that off. Okay, there we go. All right, so now the clutch is out of the way. Here, so we'll pull that off the shaft. And then it looks like there's another washer right here. We'll pull that off. In fact, I'm gonna just kind of stick that back in there. So again, I'm trying to stay organized here in terms of knowing what comes out of where. I mean, see, there's actually a little bit of, I can't tell you if this is rust or if it's clutch dust. The clutch plates don't actually look that worn out, but I mean, this is quite a bit of sludge. And I can see a little bit of brown on my bearing right there. And so maybe maybe it is for the best that I'm pulling this all apart and replacing everything. So on here just for the time being. When I start actually splitting the case, then I'll take these off. But this is just a matter of me staying a little bit organized on what hardware is coming off. This gear can come off. This is the main crankshaft gear. Okay, I'm doing this with one hand too, so there we go. All right, so got that off. That slides off. Okay, so there's a key here, right? This is where we start getting into keys, and we need to be careful that we don't, start losing stuff. Looks like that's just a quarter key, not a big deal, but it should just slide off too. Maybe it's not. It looks like because it's right in, oh, you know what? It's seated in that oil seal. That's what it is. So I definitely don't want to use pliers to get this thing out, just because create any opportunities for that oil seal to leak. I'm going to wrap a paper towel around it, and then I'm just going to squeeze it gently with a pair of channel lock. There it goes. It just came right out. So there you go. There's that bushing. So I did that without making gouging any teeth marks in it, and I recommend that you do the same. All right, so at this point, it looks like I've got some clips I've got to remove, because I've got to get kind of the shifting arms off and that kind of thing. So at that point, this side of the crankcase will be fully disassembled. So I'm gonna kind of like take a step back here and make a plan in terms of what's the best and worst way to pull this thing apart. I actually have another washer here from my gear. One washer on each side. So stack those. A game plan on how I'm going to actually pull this apart, because I've got some springs to undo, and I want to make sure I do this in the right order. So I'm going to go see what I can find in the service manual in terms of like steps on how to do that. So next, I'm going to take off the shifter arm right here. So up here, this is just kind of spring loaded. So this can kind of come off of the shifting drum, you know, fairly easily. Take this, we're going to take the shifting arm off first. So that's this C-clip here. And then basically we can work this off. And then we'll take off, this is what they call this the segment in the parts list. It's basically on the shifting drum. It's like on the other end of the shifting drum, or they call it the shifting cam in the parts list. So so we'll take that off. This will require a snap ring, some snap ring pliers to get this gear off. And then this is actually two pieces right here. So we'll be able to, once I pull this C-clip off, I'll be able to pull the shifting lever out, the bar all the way out of the crankcase. So I'm going to go that far. So let's go ahead and just take this pin out. On the floor. Fortunately, I can see where it went. Off. Now I've just pulled this one off of here. This is the shifting lever, and there's a lot of gunk on that. These two clips are different, so just make a note of that. This is the one that's down in the sledge, down on the bottom, right? And then this one that doesn't have the rounded middle little point it goes right here. Pull the shifting lever all the way out. Okay, so making note of, on the shifting lever there's this little bushing to fit inside this, right? So I'm going to stick that right on there. Okay, so now I can just take this shifting lever and I'll set it right over here. Okay, now we're going to try to work this off. Wow, that does not want to stay on the wood. Because the crankcase is in 3 pieces, right? I'm making it narrower and narrower as I keep taking stages off of it. So it gets harder and harder to stay on these blocks. This arm is actually spring loaded, okay, and so there's that's what this screw is for, is because this is one end of the spring and this is the other end of the spring. So once I pull this off and this spring unloads, right, I'm gonna when I put it back together, I'm gonna have to load it and then slide it back on the shaft and slide it back up into place. All right, so the easiest way to get this off is to lift this up and then pull from the top and bottom at the same time, right? So lift this up so that it comes around this end of it, and now this will just kind of slide off. Got this clip off, right? So I pulled off into the drum. So just keep in mind that there's this now loose cotter pin that's sitting in there that we want to pull out. So before I do that, I'm going to undo this spring and then make sure that all this assembly stays together. So I'll undo this spring and then I'll pull this cotter pin out and just make sure that it stays, you know, basically it sits inside this. So got to make sure it does that. To the right angle. And then this looks like a 10 millimeter bolt. So I'm just going to pull this this tension arm out, and then I'm actually going to put this bolt back in the case just so I don't lose it. Looks like there's some Loctite on that bolt. For safekeeping. Okay, let's see what we got next. So now we're going to take this gear off, so I need my snap ring pliers. And then I actually think that will be it for this side as far as what we have to take out. From here, we'll need to go to the other side, take the magneto out. But basically, in that point, we can start splitting the case and get into the transmission.